This time I've got a Nakamichi BX100. This is a 2-head cassette deck that was brought in for service, and it doesn't work. Plays for a couple seconds, stops, will not fast forward, no, will not rewind. Could be belts on this one, but I'm going to go out on the limb and say it's probably a drive idler that's failed or a bad motor. So let's check it out and see what the problem is. Today I have a Nakamichi BX100. This is a 2-head cassette deck that was brought in by a client, and he says there's no tape transport. It will eat the tape, and there's no tape movement. So let's just check out and see where the problem might be on this one. So remove the tape door. That way we can check it out and see whether anything is moving. So when I enter play, I see that it does raise the head and the pinch roller, and the capstan is turning. So we know that the capstan works. Pinch roller is engaging, but I did not see any movement of the tape spindles. Notice when I press play, nothing moves here unless I help it. I notice that the tape counter is moving if I turn it, so I know that the belt between the take-up spool and the tape counter is okay. It looks like it's probably a slipping idler on this. Let's try rewind and fast forward. So fast forward, same thing, nothing's happening. Rewind, oh, it's very sluggish. So we have a bad idler on this one that's driving it. I'm pretty certain that it's going to be just an idler that has gone bad, and we may have to use rubber renew on this, because chances of finding an idler for a Nakamichi, at least an original one, are slim to none. The Nakamichi decks were considered a top tier cassette deck by many. Once we get into the top of them, you'll see that they look very much like a lot of the other Japanese tape decks of the era. Nakamichi had their own motors that they supplied. Now, whether their motors were actual motors that they made, or whether they just had other motors made for them and put their own name on them, they did build some of their own silicon as well. You'll see a Nakamichi labeled chip back here on this one, but they also used a lot of Sanyo and NEC chips. As you can see, the Dolby chips on here are Sanyo. Dolby chips here, Sanyo there, and some NEC op amps and so forth. But generally they weren't a bad machine. They had some pretty good specs to them, and as I say, like any other Japanese machine of its era, they were considered to be very good. I used to do warranty work for Nakamichi back in the day, so I had a fair bit of experience working on a lot of these tape decks, including, unfortunately, the Dragon. I had a few Dragons to work on. I had to change some of the little gears that adjusted the azimuth on a Dragon once, and they were something else to work on. Just say I do not miss that particular machine, because they were not an easy machine to work on by any stretch of the imagination. I may be able to get to the idler on this one without even having to remove the deck itself. If I just remove a couple screws to hold the back plate in place, I should be able to see the idler that we're interested in. And there it is. The drive idler that I'm interested in is this one right there. That's the one that drives the tape reels forward and backwards, and we'll turn it on here, and when I hit the button, you can see that it is slipping. Motor's turning, the tape spools themselves are stopping. So what we need to do is we just need to try and get this thing to stop slipping. And the easiest way to do that is to put some rubber renew on it. I'm just going to see if the spring that holds it in place is okay. There's a And some of these are a little collar that also gives us some trouble. It gets sticky where it flips back and forth and applies the tension to it. There's a little pivot on a little pin through a little piece of plastic down here, and sometimes it gets gummed up and it causes it to, but this one doesn't look to be a problem. It looks to be, it's free, so that's not the issue. It's just the rubber itself has gone bad from sitting around for a lot of time. So we may be able to just put some rubber renew on this one and get this one working and increase the grip enough that it's going to operate properly and continue to operate. So let's get the rubber renew down, and we'll give it a bath of some methyl silicate and xylene and whatever else is in rubber renew. There's basically 3 key ingredients in it, and its job, it swells the rubber and makes it soft is what it does. Now, one thing you're going to notice on a lot of these Nakamichis, which was really good, was the mechanism itself was metal, right? There's not a lot of plastic in here. This is metal. The slide plate for the head is metal. It's got a little ball bearing in there. That was one of their strengths to a lot of the other Japanese manufacturers of the day, is a lot of them used a lot of plastic, and this one's metal. Hour-long phone call. We're back on this. I was just going to put the rubber renew on. An old friend called me up with some turntable questions. He dug out his old turntable and he started playing it. He got himself a new cartridge for it and started playing with his turntable. Okay, let's get some rubber renew on the wheel here. We'll soak this wheel in rubber renew and let it dry. And I'm gonna, I guess I should go fast forward so it doesn't stop. If I stop the reel from turning and play, to give you an idea, it'll actually stop the motor, you see. And same with fast forward, it's got so much torque now that it'll actually stop the motor from turning. So, problem solved. Rewind, same. Of course it'll stop and rewind because it senses the tape counter turning. So if I turn the take-up spool, right, lots and lots of torque, as you can see, it'll stall the motor out. So that's going to keep this one running for years. So I'll just put the tape compartment back together. It sits on a little groove back here. There it is. Sits in that little groove right there and over here. That's what holds it in place. We'll center it and put the 2 screws back in. This is a magnetic screwdriver, so I'm using this one. I haven't magnetized my little Sony engineer screwdriver yet. I'll clean the head and the pinch roller and demagnetize it as well while I've got it here. let's check out the tape speed. My 3 kilohertz tape off my calibrated deck. Let's see how accurate this one is without doing any adjustments. That's pretty darn close. 3.04. If I can get that any closer. Should be an adjustment on the back. Yeah, there's an adjustment on the back of the motor here. There we go. I think that's as close as we're going to get it. Okay, we're going to do a test recording on it. There's playback from recorded on a different deck, obviously. Okay, we'll record on this side. 0 the counter. We're going to put this thing into record pause. Yeah, let's set our record levels. EQ for 70. Type 2 tape. Dolby on or off. I'll do it without Dolby. Okay, let's set it up, pick a track, and we'll record it here. See how this unit sounds. Okay, we're going to do a recording here. Count to 0 into record mode. Let this track record, and we're going to play it back, and like before, I'm going to play it right into the camera so you can hear how it sounds once it's finished recording. Okay, rewind the tape. Okay, that's it. All done. Thanks for watching.